Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Gainesville, Florida. I'm Erin Parrish, your worship associate today. My pronouns are she, her, and they. I'm a short, white, cisgender woman in her late 60s with short brown hair, and I'm wearing a t-shirt that says Proud Ally with a Progress Pride flag on it, and it's gray, and blue jeans and black shoes. We walk upon the traditional territory of the Potano tribe of the Timucua people and the Seminole peoples. We walk humbly upon the land to honor them. Yesterday, we celebrated Pride and our fellowship was down at the Bo Diddley Plaza. There they are. There's Liz and Elizabeth. Well, it's Elizabeth and Elizabeth sitting at the table. And a good time was had by all. I hope some of you stopped by. I would like to welcome any visitors this morning. We're so glad you took time to spend with us today. Please join us for refreshments and conversation after the service. There's a table with a green tablecloth in the social hall. You can stop by there. There's folks there that will tell you about our congregation or Unitarian Universalism. And Judith is in the back. She will answer any questions you have. She's waving her hand. And Lynn. There's also, next to that, there's also a new members table where new members can sit to get to know each other, and you can introduce yourself to them. If you have a black and white photo in the directory, please, after service, come up here and see Deborah Neal Marisi so you can get a color photo because we're changing it all to color. Today, our speaker is Peter Marino. He's going to be speaking about Harvey Milk. He's been a member of our congregation for 10 years. He is an English professor emeritus at SUNY Adirondack, where he taught writing, speech, and the occasional literature class, and where he was granted the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Scholarship and Creative Activity. He's now an adjunct professor at University of Florida and University of Houston. He's also a playwright, one acts only, and a podcaster. He also writes young adults books. It's a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. Your experience of the divine is true, and you don't have to go it alone. And now, let us worship together. Susan, could you come up and light the chalice, please? The chalice lighting words are by Linda Lee Franson. The Pride Flame. We light this flame for those who celebrate themselves, who fear, who hope, who persevere, who are the side of love for all. We light this flame for those who have been ridiculed, that they may find peace, for those who have fought to marry, that they may celebrate, for those who live in uncertainty in the world, that they may have hope. We light this flame to renew our commitment that no one shall ever again suffer for the right to love. We light this flame to celebrate our kaleidoscope of diversity, working, loving, and living on the side of love. For this, we light this flame. The opening words are from Susan B. Anthony. This is rather different from the receptions I used to get 50 years ago. They threw things at me then, but they were not roses. Oh, if I could live but another century and see the fruition of all the work. There is so much yet to be done. Organize, agitate, educate must be our war cry. Please rise in body and spirit and join together to joyfully sing hymn 1053 in the Teal hymnal, How Could Anyone? Each week you're invited to write what is on your heart in this book, the Joys and Sorrows book by the Doors in the Sanctuary. Our first joy is our guests, Eric Larson, Sarah Sater, and Caroline Amin. I hope I said them right. Welcome, we're so glad you're here. And I do want to mention that there will be a newcomer orientation today immediately following the service. You can sign up or you can get more information at the visitor table in the social hall. Mary Anthony, Kate Hitchcock, and Carolyn Holland share the joy that they are celebrating their 25th anniversary. And many thanks to Elizabeth Stewart for her beautiful donation of crown of thorn plants, and to Susan Stannard for the lovely Liriope plants. They both look fabulous in the courtyard. The Friends of the Courtyard crew. You may have unspoken joys or concerns that you are holding in your heart. At this time, we invite you to come forward and drop a stone in our communal waters. As the water surrounds the stones, may you feel the warmth of our community surround and support you. At the end, someone from our care team, I think, will drop 2 stones into the bowl for the joys and sorrows of those watching online. And Kirsten's going to say a little something.
We have special music today during the stone ceremony. The choir has been, from special request, prepared a brand new song because it's one of our new hymns. We're going to sing it for you during the stone ceremony so you can get the melody in your head. We'd love it if you'd hum along, kind of get used to it. And then we'll use it for our closing hymn, and during the closing hymn today, we'll ask you to join in and sing it with us. Another part of the special request is we're trying something new with the closing words. Our closing words, instead of being spoken today, our beloved closing words that we do every week, we will sing them together with a new melody. So thank you.
This note is shown when I good idea. We're getting it. It's happening slowly at the speed of church. We'll see how this goes because I am going to have my guitar up, so we'll see what happens, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Oh. It's a mystery what my name is. That's not for you to know. It's for me to know. Let's try that one more time. My name is James Chase, and I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Gainesville. I'm a transgender, non-binary person, and I use they/them pronouns. I am a medium-sized, short-haired person with glasses, kind of masculine presenting, and today I am wearing a bright rainbow shirt. You don't see the purple bits because they're tucked into my pants. And I am wearing blue jeans and black tennis shoes. And I am so happy to be here in this room that is really bizarrely quiet. Has anyone noticed who's missing? Yeah. We usually have a mob of children over here. They are not in here. They are outside in the play yard, smashing pumpkins with the kind of rage I feel a little intimidated by. I want to thank everybody who showed up today carrying pumpkins out to the play yard or getting friends to do so. That meant the world to us. Those kids have plenty of pumpkins, and it's just a joyous thing to see. We're going to see real quick. We're figuring it out. We evolve and we adapt. So today I'm going to sing a song that I have not sung in a while for my friends. And I will hope that you guys will sing along with me to help cover up how I have not warmed up. I've been out setting up pumpkins and tools and power tools and not a sledgehammer this year. We learned and adapted from last year. But before I do sing this song, I would like to invite anyone who'd like to come out and visit with the kids or perhaps smash your own pumpkin. We also have dry ice and shaving cream, so at your own risk and that of your laundry, but we would love to see anyone who wants to just poke their head out and visit with the kids. All right, let's see how this goes. Oh. Here, we're going to try something. There we go. But I like the stand thing. That's actually working really well. So you can see the slides. The lyrics are up there. The melody is pretty simple. It goes, I love my body from my head to my toes. I love my face, my eyes, my mouth, my nose. I love the way I look when I look in the mirror. I stand a little closer just to see a little clearer. Who is that? It's me, and I am looking good as good can be. So what do I say? I tell myself I love me every day. I love my body from my head to my toes. I love my face, my eyes, my mouth, my nose. I love the way I look when I look in the mirror. I stand a little closer just to see a little clearer. I hope you can too. You're worthy of your own love, it is true. So what do we say? We tell ourselves we love us every day. Thank you. Now we're going to sing our song that usually our children really run for the door at this point, but it's going to be really quiet, but I will be leaving. So thank you, everybody.
The reading today is from Walt Whitman. This is what you shall do. Love the earth and sun and the animals. Despise riches. Give alms to everyone that asks. Stand up for the stupid and crazy. Devote your income and labor to others. Hate tyrants. Argue not concerning God. Have patience and indulgence toward the people. Take off your hat to nothing known or unknown, or to any man or number of men. Go freely with powerful, uneducated persons, and with the young and with the mothers of families. Read these leaves in the open air every season of every year of your life. Re-examine all you have been told at school or church or in any book. Dismiss whatever insults your own soul. And your very flesh shall be a great poem and have the richest fluency, not only in its words, but in the silent lines of its lips and face and between the lashes of your eyes and in every motion and joint of your body. UU theologian James Luther Adams called the offering a sacrament of the free church. When UUs pass the plate on Sunday to every hand present, it's an act of saying who we are and what we believe in. It's a ritual we use not only to transform the world, but to transform ourselves. That's why every person at the service is invited to be a part of it. The offering will now be joyfully given and gratefully received.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Peter Marino. I am a 65-year-old male-identified person of European descent. I identify also as queer. I am wearing the stole that I wore to marry two friends of mine and Aaron's at Payne's Prairie, which I thought was appropriate for today, and where I met the Cecils and became fast friends. Mainstream America has plenty of household name heroes, Lincoln, FDR, Martin Luther King Jr., for examples, but the lesser known, of course, are not of any lesser importance. Consider the not as famous rebels in history: Sojourner Truth, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Margaret Sanger, Frederick Douglass, for a few. For these rebels, the philosophy was simple, though the path was perilous. They simply said no to how things were being done, and then they put their lives on the line by refusing to back down and dragging America forward. They knew that changing laws would take decades, generations even, and probably the changes would not happen until long after they were gone. I was taught as a child that America was the land of the free. But the truth I eventually came to learn was that some people simply inherit freedoms, while others have to battle for them. And sometimes those who inherited their freedoms get a little annoyed with liberation movements. Harvey Milk has been gone for 47 years now. I was in my first semester of college on November 27th, 1978, the day that newly ex-supervisor Dan White gunned down the mayor of San Francisco, George Moscone, just days after the Jim Jones People's Temple massacre in Guyana. I have no memory of White's other victim, named Harvey Milk. He was the first openly gay elected official to any significant office. And I didn't know about him until a friend showed me the documentary, The Times of Harvey Milk, in the late 80s. And it wasn't until Sean Penn won the Oscar for playing him in the film Milk in 2008 that I would say non-gay America learned about his short political life, and it's important how a city supervisor became an icon for a civil rights movement. A quote from a 68-year-old lesbian shows just how profound that win was. "I thank God I have lived long enough to see my kind emerge from the shadows and join the human race." It would be nice to be able to cite some humble roots for Harvey Milk, originally pronounced Milch, but instead he was born in 1930 to a wealthy retail clothing family on Long Island. He was athletic, clownish in high school. According to biographer Randy Schultz, who chronicled Milk's life in The Mayor of Castro Street, Harvey was always three things: aggressive, audacious, and open about his homosexuality. For example, he was arrested at age 17 for taking his shirt off in a gay section of Central Park. Conversely, he was a political conservative in his early adulthood. He was a Republican. He was a graduate of State College for Teachers in Albany, where my husband Aaron Broadwell and I are from, where he was sports editor for the school paper. He went on to teach math, serve in the Korean War, and become a Wall Street investments banker. He and his lovers enjoyed an affluent life in New York City, and he was an outspoken hawk during the early Vietnam War and even campaigned for Barry Goldwater in 1964. But at some point, he grew disillusioned, and in Greenwich Village, he fell in with some gay bohemians. One of these was Craig Rodwell, who was part of the legendary Stonewall riots of 1969 that propelled the long-simmering gay rights movement forward. Stonewall, as most of you probably know, was the name of a bar in Greenwich Village, one of the many gay hangouts frequently raided by gonzo police officers. Finally, in 1969, perhaps emboldened by the death of icon Judy Garland, they fought back over several days of rioting. Many of those who would not back down were drag queens. That defiance has been called the hat pin drop heard round the world. Harvey's awareness had been ignited. In the early 1970s, he relocated to San Francisco, which by then had the nickname Sodom by the Sea. He rented a storefront on Castro Street where he and his boyfriend ran a camera shop very badly for years. He almost immediately caused a furor when he announced in 1973 that he was going to run for city supervisor. He was 43. He had an innovative approach to getting elected. He was going to reach downward, not upward, for support. So he enlisted the scrappy, angry street gays like Cleve Jones, who was part of a new wave of activists who shrugged off the older, moneyed gay generation concerns about respectability and acceptance. They generated the slogan, "We're here, we're queer, get used to it." Harvey Milk managed to convince his people that there was more than just a possibility that they could achieve real political power in San Francisco. His supporters became known as human billboards because they would stand along major thoroughfares in the city with signs on them. He wanted to stage a latter-day Boston Tea Party, and he was willing to be its Samuel Adams. This aggressive approach also brought Harvey Milk many enemies, not just conservatives, but liberals and centrist gay politicians. He ran for supervisor and lost 3 times, but he did win an impressive number of votes in the second and third contests, which gave him credibility and PR that gay politicians had never had before. Writer John Cloud believes that what may have been the biggest threat to the general public about Harvey Milk was not his homosexuality, but his freewheeling honesty. Cloud writes, "He was honest in a way almost inconceivable to gay people back then. He joked about his sex life, ferried young men around San Francisco, and had a huge picture of a man's bare buttocks on his apartment wall. Come out, stop lying, screw what everyone thinks." To the great chagrin of gay politicos in San Francisco, says Cloud, Milk constantly emphasized openness and honesty over political gain. Schultz writes, Milk fought not for the universal acceptance of homosexuality as an alternative lifestyle, but for a universal acceptance of human beings endowed by their Creator with the same unalienable rights as their heterosexual counterparts. Whether his audience was sympathetic or hostile, Milk always depicted the struggle for gay rights as the fight to preserve your democracy. In 1977, Harvey Milk was finally elected to the Board of Supervisors in the Castro district. The Castro was a formerly working-class district, and it became populated with gays and lesbians after hard times had run it down. Milk's philosophy that the American dream starts with the neighborhoods was evident in his populist approach. According to The Advocate, Milk embraced a broadly progressive agenda, boycotting Coors beer, legalizing pot, helping working mothers. He could bring together crusty union gays, struggling immigrant groups, needle-pointing Catholic ladies. Gay historian John D'Amelio wrote that Milk was a mobilizer, one whose delightful public presence could win these people over. For those of you here today who have fought to preserve any remaining green space in Florida, it's interesting to note that Milk actually fought fiercely against the decimation of San Francisco neighborhoods in the name of building businesses and tourism. According to Randy Schultz, Milk loved politics as drama, and San Francisco City Hall was the consummate stage. But maybe it was the simpler issues that illustrate why he earned the label of populist and why he appealed to the everyday San Franciscan. He took on lowbrow, pragmatic issues such as his famous dog poo ordinance. Milk had held a conference about it, ending with a show of stepping in some to make his point. When someone publicly demanded to know what Milk had against dogs, he responded with characteristic showmanship, "What do you have against blind people? Do you know what it's like for a blind person to step in dog shit?" More controversially, he introduced and fought for a gay rights ordinance in San Francisco that outlawed discrimination in housing and employment. It may seem odd to us that San Francisco had no such protection already by then, but remember this was a mere 8 years after Stonewall, and America was deluged by the likes of John Briggs, Jerry Falwell, and our very own Sunshine Tree singer, Anita Bryant, whose granddaughter just married another woman. The gay rights ordinance in San Francisco passed by an overwhelming majority of 10-1, the one dissenting vote being Supervisor Dan White. That one vote was homage not just because Dan White had cast it, but because gay rights ordinances were being trounced all over America that year. Harvey Milk's most important contest involved the entire state of California. California had a system of voter initiative, which is, according to political scientist Jeff Peck, the power to write and affect laws without the legislature. John Briggs, a state senator from Fullerton, introduced what became known as the Briggs Initiative, Proposition 6, which would have guaranteed that gay and lesbian teachers in California lost their jobs. With such a huge state passing such a law, surely others would follow, and early polls indicated that a majority of voters favored the initiative. However, Briggs hadn't counted on Harvey Milk's populism, his appeal to basic logic, and his well-organized grassroots campaign. Prop 6 was soundly defeated. Partly it went down because of Briggs's poor performance in a public debate with Milk, where at one point he put forth the flimsy argument that despite the fact that most child molesters were heterosexual men, if there were gays and lesbians who molested children in schools, at least Prop 6 would get rid of them and reduce the total number of sex offenders in school. Defeating Prop 6 was a major success at the time, but the victory here was defeating legislation that would legalize discrimination. And of course, here we are in 2025, awaiting the Supreme Court to revisit Obergefell versus Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage in 2015. Dan White was a former fireman, former policeman, popular in the working class district he represented. He was blonde, athletic, and he spoke in that wholesome, regular guy persona that seems to appeal to some people. But after a year on the Board of Supervisors, White abruptly quit, citing his low salary, his frustration at not being taken seriously by other supervisors, even though his vote was often cast with the majority conservative faction. A few days later, when he changed his mind and rescinded his resignation, Mayor Moscone planned to welcome White back. This is where things got dangerously complicated. Harvey Milk and Dan White had, at first being elected, been publicly supportive of each other, but their relationship soon devolved. Before White's resignation, he and Milk had in fact been involved in a very public feud because Milk had voted for the installation of a psychiatric outpatient clinic for mentally ill teenagers in White's district. White never forgave him and voted the opposite of Milk on every single issue after that. With White's resignation, Harvey Milk convinced Moscone not to take White back. Dan White was a practiced gunman. After hearing Moscone's decision on the radio, he went to City Hall and shot and killed both Moscone and Milk. The subsequent conviction and sentencing of Dan White is a separate travesty. White confessed that he had crawled through an open window in City Hall that day, carrying a loaded revolver and enough bullets to reload. He admitted to shooting both Moscone and Milk in cold blood, admitted to shooting Milk 5 more times in the head at point-blank range after he was already down. Yet he was convicted only of manslaughter. Then he was paroled 5 years later. You see, Dan White's pals in the police and fire departments were unhappy with the liberal policies of the new Moscone-appointed police chief, Charles Gaine, and they managed to raise $100,000, which is about $500,000 in today's money, for White's defense. Some even wore free Dan White t-shirts. Some resented that the Castro, whose gay bars they had enjoyed routinely raiding in the 50s and 60s, had developed affluence and political clout. In addition, the DA was clearly not passionate about prosecuting the case, and White's defense team argued the legendary Twinkie defense, that the ingestion of too much junk food had addled White's judgment. According to writer David Van Bema, the manslaughter verdict sparked the White Night riots. A crowd of 5,000, mostly gay people, stormed City Hall, throwing rocks through windows and torching police cars. Cleve Jones had tried to channel the crowd's rage by reading through a megaphone something Milk had taped before his election, imploring people that if he should ever be killed, no further violence should result from his death. He always knew he was in trouble. He once said, "If I turned around every time someone called me a faggot, I'd be walking backward." Yet the rioting continued. That event, as well as the police retribution for the rioting a night later when plainclothes cops came after dark to vandalize the Castro neighborhood, were widely reported in the press. And so, for once, police harassment of LGBTQ+ people was broadcasted into America's living rooms. Dan White was paroled in 1985. He came back to San Francisco despite then-Mayor Dianne Feinstein's active dissuasion and found himself a pariah. He lived in people's basements to avoid public detection. Then he died by suicide in his garage. White's legacy may only be a blip on the screen of American nutcase murderers, his Twinkie defense later outlawed and morphing into a perennial joke that people probably don't even know the origin of. Conversely, Harvey Milk became something of a legend. I wish there were more good news to share nearly 50 years later, but all we know, as we all know rather, things are bleak. I'm hoping, though, especially with the work of groups like Equality Florida and liberal religious bodies such as ours, that hate-inspired legislation can be sued back into the closet. I hope that we queers are too ingrained in society, too loud and too honest about our identities for this current backlash to be sustained. And actually, there has always been good news. Now, my observation of Unitarian Universalism as a denomination is it tends to be a bit self-flagellating. We work hard for social justice, but tend to only acknowledge what we haven't done. But when you are feeling despair, take encouragement in the history and heart of our liberal religion. For example, the UUA has advocated for full equality for LGBTQ+ people since 1973. 1973 is a long time before it was culturally fashionable to be pro-gay. Thank you. And perhaps even long before it was even safe to do so. Look at how the press routinely canonizes popes just because they don't encourage bigotry. Further, in 2004, UUA staff member Hillary Goodridge was the lead plaintiff in the successful Massachusetts marriage case, Goodridge versus the Department of Public Health, which Aaron and I took advantage of by getting our marriage license in Provincetown. And one story to illustrate how UU as a denomination has been a leader in LGBTQ+ rights. In 2000, I took my Minority Voices class to a lecture at Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs. It was part of an exhibit called The Shower of Stoles. This is a stole. It was a display of the ministerial stoles of clergy who had been defrocked for coming out to the congregation. The exhibit was absolutely packed with these stoles. The speaker was herself a defrocked Presbyterian minister. During the Q&A, I asked if there were any religions that were not represented. She practically dismissed the question by saying, except for Unitarians, no, they're all here. She said that as if an essential point about dignity and moral integrity and diversity had not just been made. Believe me, I later brought that point home to my students in case they missed it. And it shouldn't be lost on any of us. We have always been miles ahead of not only the culture, but of our religious peers. Think of the untold number of souls that the UU denomination has comforted and given hope to in times when they could not find comfort and hope from any of God's non-frozen people. How many non-UU ministers were willing to risk jail for signing marriage licenses before it became legal? How many churches in Gainesville, Florida, offered free weddings in 2015 like Reverend Maureen did, weddings that included cupcakes and Thomas Royal on the piano? I see UU as a denomination that has embraced the philosophy of Harvey Milk, in that we propose the impossible in the name of social justice and basic human decency, and we don't back down. Tammy Baldwin, the first openly gay congresswoman, said in 2000 that, for all those people who say they have to wait until it's safe to do X, Y, or Z, Harvey taught us that if you simply start doing X, Y, or Z, it will become safe. And now we're going to end with the actual voice and words of Harvey Milk himself on the night that he won his election to the San Francisco City Council.
Somewhere in Des Moines or San Antonio, there's a young gay person who all of a sudden realizes that she or he is gay, knows that if the parents find out, they'll be tossed out of the house. The classmates would taunt the child, and the Anita Bryans and John Briggs are doing their bit on TV, and that child had several options. Staying in a closet, suicide, and then one day that child might open a paper and it says homosexual elected in San Francisco, and there are two new options. The option is to go to California, stay in San Antonio and fight. 2 days after I was elected, I got a phone call, and the voice was quite young. It was from Altoona, Pennsylvania, and the person said, thanks. And you've got to elect gay people so that that young child and the thousands upon thousands like that child know that there's hope for a better world. There's hope for a better tomorrow. Without hope, not only gays, but those blacks, and the Asians, and the disabled, the seniors, the us's, without hope, the us's give up. I know that you cannot live on hope alone, but without it, life is not worth living. And you, you've got to give them hope. Thank you very much.
Please rise in body and spirit to sing the closing hymn, and the words will be on the screens.
I'm a boy.
Susan, will you come extinguish the chalice flame? And now we will sing the chalice extinguishing words.
Thank you so much, choir. You've been in fine voice today. Our closing words are from Angels in America, the play by Tony Kushner, spoken by the main character Pryor, who has been living with AIDS for years, and he's sitting in Central Park. I'm almost done. The fountain's not flowing now. They turn it off in the winter, ice in the pipes. But in the summer, it's a sight to see. I want to be around to see it. I plan to be. I hope to be. This disease will be the end of many of us, but not nearly all. And the dead will be commemorated and will struggle on with the living, and we are not going away. We won't die secret deaths anymore. The world only spins forward. We will be citizens. The time has come. Bye now. You are fabulous creatures, each and every one. And I bless you. More life. The great work begins.